Welcome and welcome back. Let's talk about my S rank party fired me for being a Cursificer, or Shousetsuka Ni Narou. The full title is gonna be in the description. My party fired me for being a Cursificer. Um, okay, look, I seriously hate these exaggerated titles, but anyway, is a novel written by LAGUN or LAGUN, depending on how you read it, with artwork drawn by Nishiki Ogawa and Nishinoda. The manga began serialization in 2021. It is still written by LAGUN, obviously, but drawn by Nishiki Ogawa. Apparently, Nishinoda has no artwork in the manga. So far, the manga has 6 volumes, consisting of 29 chapters released total. I'm considering the Japanese RAWs, by the way, so the translation obviously might be behind on the total released chapters. Each chapter averages 15 to 17 pages, it depends, with a couple of exceptions for being longer, which always happen, obviously. The plot is very basic. I mean, if you haven't already noticed by the title, obviously. It's about Gale. I think it's Gale, by the way. I haven't seen the RAWs to check if it's written as Gairu or Geiru. So I'm just gonna go with Gale, which is a guy who's a Cursificer, air quotes, and gets booted from his current party. Apparently because his job is, air quotes, weak. And so on and etc. And he's not contributing and all that stuff that, these plots usually come with. All the toppings. However, the items that he crafts have absurd powers, which vary, for example, from 90% enemies low to instant death on hit. They are very ridiculous. And he can also dispel high-grade curses, poisons and all that without the need of church talismans and such. Which is apparently in the manga, in the plot, the world that the author is setting, apparently it's a big deal, I guess. So obviously, as many of those, we kicked the best member of the group plots lately, the party starts to crumble. Kind of like Hell Madrid. And meanwhile, Gale finds new, more competent and appreciative members. I'm joking about Hell Madrid, by the way. I know they won champions. Characters wise, Gale Hamilton is the male lead. He's a Cursificer, which is basically someone who can craft cursed objects as well as dispel them. And with a twist, he can also enchant items and redirect curses towards himself. While the user gets the full benefits of the attributes, they don't get the curses because apparently, from what I understood, Gale's is bearing the curses. That's like his deal, per se. This is clear in the very first chapter, by the way, when he dispels the enchantments and the curses he was carrying on behalf of his party, and then they get just insane, ultra nerfed to the ground. They can't do anything anymore without him, which is obviously very predictable by this type of plot, I guess. He's like a warlock from WoW or a necromancer from Lineage 2 mixed with a Templar from Ragnarok Online, I guess. And overall, his powers are just absurd. He's extremely overpowered. For now, at least. Depending on the situation, I guess you could say. The second character I want to talk about, is Maura Glaris. Or Maura, or Mara, depending on whatever, for the English speakers. She's a support mage. And originally, she's the one who takes Gale's spot in his previous party. Her powers so far range from boosting attributes to boosting speed, among a couple of other things, magic, and but she can't heal. Apparently, she's kind of like a priest, but she can't heal. At least I haven't seen her heal. I haven't seen she healing anyone in the manga so far. I think she can't, because if I'm not mistaken, there are priests apparently in the manga, in that universe. And after a few chapters, in the very first encounters, by the way, I never speak like too far in a work unless it's something that it's not major, or it's very, let's say, predictable, or how can I say it, the plot relies heavily on that. So I won't, obviously, I won't reveal something that is like someone's gonna say, oh, she's spoiling shit. So no, this is like fair chapters 1 through 5, if I'm not mistaken. She basically, in the very first encounters with the party, with Gale's party, previous party, she notices they are all incompetent and idiotic as hell. And she ends up leaving. Like, they are all full of themselves. They think they're hot shit and all that. Pardon the language, but yeah. And as fate would have it, as she's leaving town, she ends up partying up with Gale to defeat a group of orcs that attacked their caravan. It is then and there that she notices how Gale's power are just ridiculously otherworldly. And they remain a party up to the next town. And so far, she's still after Gale in the plot. Of course, I wouldn't spoil anything major or anything, but yeah, it's very predictable, and you're gonna get it once you read it. I'm not gonna talk about about the art anymore, because I think it's too subjective. Personally, I like the creatures drawn. I think they're amazing. The characters, on the other hand, they are pretty cookie cutter. It's nothing amazing. It's nothing, One Punch Man, the web novel thing, as I mentioned before. The manga from One Punch Man, by the way, is amazing. Murata is a demon. But the web novel, if you have read One's original web novel for One Punch Man, you understand what I'm saying. So before anyone says anything, I know there's a big difference, okay? But yeah, it's usually what you get on a shonen. It's nothing mind-blowing. In conclusion, it is an entertaining read. To me, it falls under the while I wait for other stuff category. It is cool reading while you're waiting for their titles that you enjoy to actually pop up, as I've mentioned before many times, many other titles. It is not necessarily an indispensable title, in my opinion. It has its own charms, but I don't see it as something that, oh my god, it's absolutely amazing. I don't see it as something as revolutionary per se as Shingeki no Kyojin, for example, Attack on Titan. But it's good. It's well executed. It's pretty. Kimetsu no Yaiba has a very cookie cutter premise. It's about a boy who wants to save his sister and fighting demons, but the execution is amazing. So there's that. So basically, this would fall under that kind of premise. However, I do have some beefs with it, especially the fact that Gale is just too powerful. He's insane. He's basically overpowered on many situations, which kills the vibe for me from time to time. Like the author builds up this amazing encounter, and you have like whatever undead and all that shit, and then Gale just goes, oh, dispel, purification, whatever, and he just annihilates everything. I don't know. Sometimes it just kills the vibe for me. This is obviously just a small percentage of what I'm talking about, like the skeletons. You will understand if you read it, then you will get to what I'm saying. Some of the encounters are not the skeletons. That's pretty much what I'm saying, if you get my gist, if you get what I'm going. But he's a very likable character, and the story is progressing smoothly so far. So I'll kind of give him that. I think it's pretty cool. So I would recommend it, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't have wasted any time. But yeah, I think it's worth checking it out. I think it's decent work. And that's it. I'll see you next time.